Dr. Beckingham here, part 3 of my thyroid series. We'd like to talk about hypothyroidism, the 6 types of it, and then some other subclasses of hypothyroidism. It's not all just one. For more information, you can always go to www.westlathyroiddoctor.com. You can email me at drbeckingham@gmail.com. You can call me at 310-614-2024, or in my Glendale office, you can call me at 818-249-2300. We're going to talk about the 6 major pathways of thyroid. It's not all the same. Not every patient is the same that comes to that door. They're all different. There's about 6 different classifications of hypothyroidism, of which we're going to find out shortly only one responds favorably to medication. Okay? So we'll talk about some of these. First one, primary hypothyroidism. These are the guys that respond favorably to medication. This is when, remember here first, pituitary gland is the jockey. Pituitary gland makes TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. That's the whip that the jockey holds. And then the thyroid gland is the horse. So the jockey rides the horse slows down, the jockey's got to give it a little whip, right? Get it going, a kick in the pants here. So primary hypothyroidism is when your lazy thyroid doesn't do its job, just gets lazy. This is when you really do need medication, okay? The thyroid gland gets lazy, pituitary gland's got to kick it in the pants, it whips it, whips it, whips it, and it says, I'm not doing it, I'm not doing the job, I'm sorry to tell you, you can whip me all you want. These are the people that need to be on thyroid hormone. 1 out of 6 types of hypothyroidism respond to this. So 1 out of 6 can respond favorably to medication. That's about 17%. That's alarmingly low. If all these people are just getting a TSH test and then they're getting their thyroid hormone, what's happening to them if they don't really need it? What if the pituitary is the problem? Let's talk about some other potential problems. Pathway number 2, type 2, hypothyroid symptoms secondary to pituitary gland dysfunction. This means the jockey now has a problem. The horse is fine, it wants to run. The whip is fine that it's holding, but the jockey's not doing his job. He's spaced out on there. So the horse is just kind of wander around. In this case, chronic stress can fatigue the pituitary gland. Hormone pills, estrogen creams can fatigue the pituitary gland. Liver dysfunction, if your liver is failing or it's all full of junk, it will not work properly, it will affect the pituitary. Inadequate sleep patterns, inflammation and infection, food sensitivities. What if someone eats dairy all the time? They're allergic to dairy, it makes their immune system go crazy. We'll talk more about that later. But that could cause this sort of problem. Toxicity, poor nutrition, postpartum depression, fluctuating insulin, glucose levels, okay? If you eat 1 meal a day, let's talk about this. If you eat 1 meal a day, you have what's called dysglycemia. That's the kind of person that's going to get diabetes, all right? It's just a fact. You have to eat steadily all day and keep your blood sugar all day. If you eat 1 meal a day, you're going to be in a little valley, and then you're going to hit this huge peak when you eat, and then you come down to the valley. Okay, maybe you eat 2 meals a day. You get a little peak, valley, so you get in this action. It has to be smooth. When this happens, you have insulin problems, you have blood sugar problems. These are pre-diabetic people. They're walking around this country right now. Millions and millions of them. How do we know this pathway? Number 1, look at your TSH test, right? Take out your thyroid test right now. TSH, less than 1.8. Okay. T4, less than 6. That is classic. Hypothyroid number 2. Pituitary is the problem. Your thyroid's fine, people. Your thyroid's fine, but your pituitary is not giving it the input it needs. Number 3, thyroid symptoms under conversion. Let's talk about conversion. Your thyroid makes 93% T4, 7% T3. That T4 has to go around your body and become T3 because every cell in your body needs thyroid hormone, but it only likes T3 hormone. So T4 has to be converted to T3. Very important system, okay? That happens in the body. This happens in the liver, happens in the tissue, happens in the GI tract, okay? If your liver's not working, guess what? That's not going to work. Your GI tract, you got infection all throughout here, or you got irritable bowels, you're not going to be converting. Your tissue's all inflamed, not going to be converting. So chronic infection and inflammation causes adrenal glands, which sit on top of your kidneys, to release more stress hormone. Who isn't stressed, right? Stress hormone is called cortisol. Cortisol can raise when you're under a stressful situation. Cortisol is what wakes us up in the morning. Cortisol is what makes our circadian rhythm. Cortisol is high in the morning, low at night, so we can fall asleep. If your cortisol levels are too high, you're going to start to retain water and get that abdominal fat that you can't get rid of no matter how hard you work out. How many of those people are there? I work out 2 hours a day. I eat right. Why do I still have this gut? What's going on? Cortisol, stress hormone people, all right? It's often missed because T3 does not affect TSH. What this means basically is if your T3 numbers are off, your TSH won't even know about it. So these people have a normal TSH and maybe even a normal T4, yet they've got hypothyroid symptoms. So what are you going to do? Give them more T4? What are we going to do here? We got to find out what's going wrong with this conversion. All other thyroid tests are normal except your T3 is low. So this is why it's important to have a T3 test, not TSH, not T4, but T3. So we're finding out we need a full thyroid panel of many tests, not just the one that we've been doing this whole time. Number 4, thyroid symptoms due to overconversion of T3. Okay? What if you're making too much T3? All that T4 is being made of T3. There's like a fine balancing game going on here in the body. If you're getting too much T3, that's a problem. So what happens here? Too much active T3 is made, so okay, too much T4 is being turned into T3. It overwhelms the cells, or too little TBG, which means too much free T3. If you and I were to go to New York City tomorrow, and we were going to say we want to go to the Empire State Building from John F. Kennedy Airport, we're going to take a taxi. TBG, thyroid binding globulin, is the taxi of our body. It drives the T3 all around wherever it has to go, okay? So I want you to imagine each cell wants thyroid hormone and it wants T3. How is it going to get from my liver to my cells? The taxi cab, TBG, is going to drive it around. So what if there's no cabs? I'm going to be stuck with you. You and I will be stuck at JFK Airport. How are we going to get to the Empire State Building? We're not. It's just not going to happen. So there's not enough of these cabs around. So this is because there's too much T3. Imagine there's 8 million people at that airport and there's only 2 cabs. Good luck finding that cab, right? So the number 1 cause of this is high glucose and insulin resistance, especially in women. This is when their blood sugar is too high, all right? You're pre-diabetic. Insulin resistance. Your insulin's not doing the job of bringing that blood sugar into your cells. This increases testosterone. If your blood sugar is too high, guess what's also going to be higher? Testosterone. If your blood sugar is off, your testosterone levels are off. This is a leading cause of infertility in women. You get ovarian cysts. Polycystic ovarian syndrome comes from having too high a testosterone level, all right? I have patients all the time like, oh, I was 16 and I've always had cysts in my ovaries, and I got some fibroids, and I got this and I got that. That's probably your thyroid. And it's not even the thyroid itself. It's a conversion problem and then a transportation problem. Number 5, the taxis, thyroid binding globulin, the taxi, is too high. What if it's a tough day in New York, right? And we get off our airplane and we want to go to the Empire State Building, and it's just you and me and the airport's empty. It's just a real slow day. And there's 8,000 taxis. These guys are fighting for our business. Well, finally we get in one. You think he's going to let us out of the cab? No way. He's going to drive us around and around and around and raise that fare so you can make some money. If you have too much TBG in your body, too many taxis, you think it's going to let go of that T3? No, it's going to hold on to it and never let it release into our body. That's a huge problem. T3 can't get out of the taxi, TBG builds up. Why does this happen? Number 1 cause of this is number 5 possible hypothyroidism, by the way, oral contraceptives. Estrogen, people, taking estrogen to the body. Creams we're putting on our face, those anti-aging creams, a lot of them are loaded with estrogen. What about our estrogen replacement therapy that's so hip? Man, I want to stay young, I want to do that estrogen replacement. I got a couple patches on, I feel great. No, you're causing hypothyroidism. Oral contraceptives, estrogen replacement. It causes an increase in estrogen, which then leads to an increase in TBG. More estrogen, more taxis. More taxis, more trapped T3. Number 6, thyroid resistance causing thyroid symptoms. Chronic stress. This is the stress one. If you're constantly stressed with this cortisol, you're going to not have thyroid function properly. Chronic stress response stimulates the adrenal glands to produce too much of the stress hormone, cortisol, which causes cells to be resistant to thyroid hormones. Okay? This is when that keyhole in every one of my cells that wants thyroid hormone, and the thyroid hormone can't get in that hole because there's something else blocking that hole. You ever put a key in a lock and break it? Imagine that there's a key stuck in that lock, that's cortisol in that hole, and this thyroid hormone can't get in the hole anymore, so now it's just going to float around. This also causes a rise in homocysteine levels. I look at homocysteine, an inflammation marker on your lab tests. So people say, why do you want a homocysteine test? Well, this is why. It's one of the reasons. I'm looking for inflammation in the body. This is why lab testing is so important, the proper testing. People come in with only 2 tests, it's not enough pieces of the puzzle, all right? So this is the 6 pathways of hypothyroidism. I encourage you to watch more and look to more parts of this series about the thyroid.